On the 23rd of July, 2011, in a quiet house in Camden, North London, one of the most gifted voices of her generation went silent. She was 27 years old. Downstairs, the world still played her records on repeat. Upstairs, the girl who sang them was gone. Her name was Amy Winehouse, a jazz-soaked voice out of London who sounded like she'd lived 100 heartbreaks before she turned 25. She sold over 20 million records, won 5 Grammys in a single night, and gave the world back to black. But the whole time, we were watching her come apart in real time and calling it entertainment. This is the whole story of Amy, the sharp, funny North London kid with an old soul, the voice that stopped a room, the beehive and the eyeliner, the love that nearly destroyed her, and the honest truth about what really killed her, told without the tabloid cruelty that followed her everywhere. She was born Amy Jade Winehouse on the 14th of September, 1983. In Enfield, North London, into a Jewish family that loved to sing. Her father, Mitch, was a taxi driver who crooned Frank Sinatra around the house. Her mother, Janice, was a pharmacist. Amy grew up on her dad's jazz records, and something in that old music felt like home. She was clever, mouthy, and fearless, the kind of kid who couldn't sit still and couldn't stop singing. At 15, she landed at the Sylvia Young Theatre School, and she joined the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, soaking up Sarah Vaughan, Dinah Washington, and the smoky torch singers she adored. The talent was obvious to everyone who heard her. By her late teens, she was writing her own songs, raw, witty, unmistakably hers. A demo made its way to the record labels, and the industry could hardly believe what it was hearing. A young English girl who sang like she'd walked straight out of a 1960s Harlem jazz club. In 2003, at just 20 years old, she released her debut album, Frank. It was jazzy, sharp-tongued, and brilliant, earning her a nomination for the prestigious Mercury Prize and marking her out as something genuinely new. Critics adored her, but the real earthquake was still to come. Then her heart got broken, and out of that wreckage came the album that made her a legend. She'd fallen hard for a man named Blake Fielder-Civil, an on-again, off-again love that pulled her under. When he left her for someone else, she poured all of it into her music. In 2006, she released Back to Black. Produced with Mark Ronson and Salam Remy, it fused 1960s girl group soul with brutally honest, modern lyrics about heartbreak, guilt, and self-destruction. It was a masterpiece, and it made her a global superstar almost overnight. The lead single was Rehab, and its story is the cruel heart of everything that followed. It was autobiographical. When her team urged her to get help, she'd refused. She turned that refusal into a defiant, irresistible hook, and the world sang it back to her, laughing, never quite hearing the cry for help underneath. And then there was the look. The towering black beehive, the winged eyeliner thick as war paint, the tattoos, the ballet flats. She built an image as unforgettable as her voice. She wasn't manufactured or polished. She was defiantly, messily herself, and a generation fell in love with exactly that. In May 2007, Amy married Blake Fielder-Civil in Miami. She adored him, but it was the most dangerous relationship of her life. It's widely reported that Blake introduced her to hard drugs, and together they spiraled into a shared addiction that neither of them could pull the other out of. The drink and the drugs began eating into everything. In 2007, she started canceling shows and walking off stages. A European tour collapsed. The voice was still there, but the woman carrying it was disappearing, and the cameras never once looked away. Then came her strangest triumph. At the Grammy Awards in February 2008, Amy won 5 awards in a single night, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Rehab. The first British woman ever to win 5 Grammys at once. But she wasn't even in the room. Denied a United States visa in time, she performed by satellite from a studio in London in the small hours of the morning. When they told her she'd won, the joy on her face was real and childlike. And a friend later recalled Amy leaning in and saying it was all so boring without the drugs. The warning was right there. on the biggest night of her life. After that, the story stopped being about the music. The British tabloids turned Amy into a daily freak show, grainy photos of her stumbling, bruised, barefoot, unraveling. Her pain became a punchline on chat shows and front pages. We had made a spectacle of a sick young woman and told ourselves it was just the news. In 2008, she and Blake checked into rehab together, and by many accounts, she managed to stop using hard drugs that year. She and Blake divorced in 2009. There were real stretches of clarity, times she looked healthy, times she seemed to be climbing back out. The talent had never left. She just had to survive long enough to use it again. But alcohol was the demon that never let go. Even after the drugs, the drinking would return in devastating waves, long dry spells shattered by sudden, dangerous binges. Those closest to her watched her fight it, win and lose, over and over, in a battle the public mostly saw only as scandal. In June 2011, a comeback tour ended in disaster. In Belgrade, Serbia, she took the stage too drunk to perform, mumbling and swaying before a booing crowd. It was heartbreaking to watch. The remaining dates were canceled. It would be her last time on a stage. Back home in Camden that summer, she had reportedly been trying, once again, to get sober, abstaining for weeks. Those around her let themselves hope. And then, alone in her room, after that long stretch without a drink, she began to drink again. On the 23rd of July, 2011, her bodyguard found her unresponsive in her bedroom. There were empty vodka bottles in the room. The emergency services could do nothing. Amy Winehouse was pronounced dead at her home in Camden. She was 27 years old. The news broke on a summer Saturday and stopped the world cold. Fans gathered outside her house, leaving flowers and candles and handwritten notes along the railings. It felt impossibly cruel, and to anyone who'd been paying attention, it did not feel like a surprise. That was the worst part. And with that, Amy joined a haunting fellowship the world calls the 27 Club, the brilliant musicians who all died at exactly 27. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, and now Amy. A grim coincidence, yes, but also a chilling pattern of gift and self-destruction burning together, far too bright, far too fast. Then came the question everyone asked: how? There was, this time, no mystery and no conspiracy. The first inquest in 2011 and a second inquest in 2012 both reached the same conclusion: Amy had died of accidental alcohol poisoning. Death by misadventure. The coroner's findings were stark. The level of alcohol in her blood was more than 5 times the legal drink-driving limit, a lethal amount. After weeks of not drinking, her body had lost its tolerance, and a return to heavy drinking overwhelmed her. Notably, no illegal drugs were found in her system. It was that detail that made it so unbearably sad. It wasn't the heroin the tabloids had chased for years. It was alcohol, legal, ordinary, everywhere, that took her. A binge after a period of sobriety, the very thing that makes relapse so deadly. There was no villain in the room that night, just the illness and a body that couldn't take any more. In the raw grief that followed, her family chose to build something out of the loss. On what would have been her 28th birthday in September 2011, they launched the Amy Winehouse Foundation, a charity dedicated to helping young people struggling with addiction, the exact fight that had claimed her. In 2015, the filmmaker Asif Kapadia released a documentary simply called Amy. Stitched together from home videos and private footage, it showed the funny, sweet, brilliant girl behind the headlines, and it forced the world to see how it had treated her. It won the Academy Award for Best Documentary and left audiences ashamed of how they'd once laughed. Because that is the reckoning at the center of Amy's story. She was not a punchline or a cautionary cartoon. She was a once-in-a-generation talent with a serious illness, and instead of helping her, much of the world made her suffering into a show. She was a person, watched to death. And what a talent it was. That voice, smoky, aching, wise beyond its years, reached back to the great soul and jazz singers and made them feel brand new. She wrote her own truth, no filters, no lies. In a pop world of manufactured perfection, Amy was gloriously, painfully real. Her influence is everywhere now. She kicked open a door for a wave of soulful British women who followed. Adele among them has spoken of Amy's impact, and countless artists cite her as the reason they dared to sound like themselves. She changed the sound of pop, and then she was gone before she could see it. 2 albums. That was all she left us, frank and back to black. Just 2 records, and yet they were enough to make her immortal. It's staggering to imagine what a lifetime of music might have been, and it's devastating that we'll never hear it. The hardest truth is this: the signs were never hidden. She sang They Tried to Make Me Go to Rehab, and we made it a party anthem. She stumbled through our TV screens, and we shared the clips. The whole tragedy played out in the open, in plain sight, set to a beat we all danced to. There's a lesson buried in the loss if we're brave enough to take it. Addiction is not a character flaw or a joke. It's an illness, and it kills. The people trapped in it are not entertainment. They are someone's daughter, someone's friend, and they are running out of time while the rest of us watch. Amy knew, better than anyone, what was happening to her. She sang about it with terrifying honesty long before the end. She wasn't blind to her own darkness. She just couldn't outrun it, and by the time enough people truly tried to help, the illness had too tight a grip. Her grave is a place of pilgrimage now, and her music has only grown louder in her absence. Every new soul singer who sounds a little too honest, a little too raw, carries a piece of Amy forward. She may have burned out fast, but she burned brighter than almost anyone. There's a strange mercy in how clearly we see her now. Time has stripped away the cruel headlines, and what's left is just the art and the girl, the wit, the warmth, the impossible voice. We remember the music now more than the mess. It just took losing her to get there. If there's a way to honor her, it isn't to romanticize the tragedy. She'd have hated that. It's to put on Back to Black, hear how astonishing she was, and remember that behind every headline about a falling star is a real, breakable human being who deserved better than a front page. Amy Winehouse gave everything to her music and paid the highest price the world can ask. She was flawed and funny and fragile and fierce, and she left us far too soon. The honest story doesn't glamorize her ending, it grieves it, and it refuses to look away from how it happened. So rest easy, Amy. The sharp-tongued girl from North London who sang the truth when it cost her everything. You were never the joke the world made you into. You were the real thing, all the way to the end. And the music you left behind will outlive every cruel headline. If this story moved you, follow a new legend every week. We've honored the king of pop, the voice, the poet, the people's princess, the Black Mamba, and the king of rock and roll. Now, Amy, who should we honor next? Leave a name in the comments.